There we go. And again, welcome everyone to Kenya 101. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Tunda, who is our senior case manager. And she will take it from there. And I need to share my screen. There we go. Everyone can see? Hopefully. Let me know if you can't, and take it away, Tunda.
Well, it's evening here. I know it's afternoon there. Well, good afternoon to all of you. My name is Tunda Lepore. I am a senior case manager at Ngongoro Children Foundation. And I want to welcome you to Kenya 101. Today we are going to be learning a little bit about Kenya. And I'm excited to take you through this session today. Well, very importantly, I come from the Maasai indigenous community. I will be talking about my community somewhere in the presentation. Well, I'll take you through the history of Kenya. Kenya was colonized by the British, and we attained our independence in 1963. And our struggle for independence started in 1952 and ran through to 1960. Our freedom fighters employed the guerrilla warfare to fight for independence, and they used whereby they used the forest as a hiding place and attacked randomly whenever possible. And this movement was led by our brothers from the central region, and the rebellion or the movement was dubbed as the Mau Mau Uprising. A lot of the freedom fighters also and supporters were detained and tortured, including our first president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who was arrested and charged for masterminding the anti-colonial Mau Mau uprising. And between 1960, maybe I mentioned between 1952 and 1960, that's when there was the uprising of the Mau Mau, who are the rebellion, the people who led the fight for independence in Kenya. And between 60 and 63, there were negotiations that were taking place between the Kenyans and the British rulers before they handed over power to Kenya. There are two main or significant holidays that commemorate these happenings or this event. The first one is 1st June 1963, which is called the Madaraka Day holiday. And this is whereby we commemorate or mark when Kenya gained internal rule. Then in 6 months later, on 12th December 1963, we celebrate or marks another celebration called Jamhuri Day, where we celebrate and commemorate the day when Kenya gained its full independence and became a republic. Next slide. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta is our first president. He served as a prime minister first in 1963 to 1964, and then he became the first president in 1964 and ruled until 1978, when he died. After independence in 1963, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and Odinga Oginga. He's the father of our opposition leader called Raila Odinga. We had Ronald Ngala, Daniel Moi, who was our second president. Then we also had Tom Mboya, Joseph Kirubi, and Masinde Muliro, they hosted a politicians meeting where they agreed to make Kenya the republic. Well, I want to mention specifically Tom Mboya, who has been highlighted in bold, who was one of our founding fathers, and who also led the negotiations of independence and the Alaska House conferences, and he was also very instrumental also in Kenya's formation of the Kenyan Independent Party, the Kenya African National Union, that is KANU, which was our first ruling party. Then he also worked both with John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. Foundation to create an educational opportunity for African youth students, an effort that resulted to the Kennedy airlifting from the 1960s, when this enabled East African students to study in American colleges, and this also led to or enabled Barack Hussein Obama Sr. To become a beneficiary of this, and you all know the history of Barack Obama, the former president of America. Well, next slide, I want to talk about the flag of Kenya. Our flag was officially adopted in December 12th, 1963, when Kenya gained its independence, and every color in this flag has a meaning. The black color stripe represents the people of Kenya, and it's a symbol of national struggle for independence and the hardships faced by the Kenyan people during the period. Then the red color stripe signifies the bloodshed and the sacrifice that our freedom fighters gave for us to gain independence. It also represents the determination of Kenyan people to build a prosperous nation. And green represents a nature, resource, and country beautiful landscapes, including our forests, our valleys, our fertile lands, and this reflects also the hope and optimism of a bright future that we look to have. Then white represents peace. And lastly, the shield and the spears is a symbol of unity and defense of freedom, it also represents, it's a symbol of tradition, our traditional ways as Kenyans. Next that's the President of Kenya, our current president. He's called William Samoei Ruto, and also the map of Kenya. Well, William Samoei Ruto is our 5th president, and his term started in September 2002. And Kenya also adopted a multi-party, is a multi-party state. And we have a president. Our governance system is like this. We have a president, then we have 77 counties. 77 counties, and each county has a senator. And also we have several MPs in the county governments. We are also known to have a very progressive constitution. Our constitution was named as one of the progressive constitutions in the world, and our currency is Kenyan shillings. Well, next. Oh, I lost you. I'm lost, guys. Just a minute. Well, I want to talk a little bit about our geography. Kenya is located in East Africa. Our continent is Africa. Then we have different countries, which Kenya is one of them. So Kenya is located in East Africa, and it's famous in its scenic landscape and vast wildlife preservances. One of our features, or some of our features, are geographical features that we are known with the Great Rift Valley. This valley extends from northwards for 5,900 kilometers through eastern part of Africa to the Red Sea and into the West Asia. And it has several deeps and elongated lakes. Majority of the lakes in the Rift Valley are salty lakes. Some of the lakes that we have in the Rift Valley are Lake Nakuru, very famous with the flamingos, Lake Elementaita, which is linked also to the Kariandusi diatomite mining, and also has flamingos. Then we also have Lake Bogoria. Lake Bogoria is known for hot springs. And then we have Lake Turkana, which is the most saline lake in East Africa and the largest desert lake in the world, and is surrounded by arid areas. Well, we also have Lake Naivasha and Baringo. The two of them are fresh water lakes. Then we have mountains in the Rift Valley, famously Mount Longonot, which is rising from the floor of the Great Rift Valley, like the picture you can see there. And it's also an existing volcano mountain. However, it's a dormant mountain. Its unique feature is a thick forest that lies within the crater of the mountain. And this mountain is around 44 miles long. Other mountains in Kenya include the Mount Kenya, which is the second highest mountain in Africa after Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. We have another mountain in Kenya called the Mount Elgon that is shared between Kenya and Uganda. And its height is above 400 meters above the sea level. Well, we also have the equator, which is an imaginary line located at 0 degrees latitude. And this one also defines our climate a lot, because our climate is mostly tropical climate or warm climate. Next. Well, we also have deserts in Kenya. We have the Chalbi Desert, which is located in the northern Kenya. North Kenya mostly is arid. It's an arid place. So we find very little rain, or sometimes even no rain throughout the year. Like the last 3 years, the northern Kenya had not received any rains until this year, beginning of this year. But for 3 years, we had not had any rains at the northern of Kenya. Well, Chalbi Desert covers around 100,000 square kilometers. And also we have Turkana Desert, which hosts Lake Turkana. We have Nyeri Desert, we have Kaisut and Marlal Desert, which is the smallest and that covers approximately 5,000 square kilometers. Well, we also have an coastline. We border the Indian Ocean, which also this coast provides historic important ports by which goods from Arabians and Asia traders have entered into the continent in for many centuries. Well, it also hosts our city, our second largest city, Mombasa, and which also hosts very beautiful beaches. And for water sports lovers, Watamu will be the place to visit if you want to visit Kenya and you want to do water sports. Well, our coastline has around 333 miles, or covers around that 333 miles, and is also a tourist destination. Well, next, our climate. I want to talk a little bit about our climate. Since our country, or Kenya, lies in the equator, we have a pleasant tropical climate. Our day temperatures are averagely between 20 degrees, that is around 68 Fahrenheit, and 82 Fahrenheit. But it is warm, it's very warm also in the coastal region. February is normally the hottest month of the year, and our seasons are classified in three. We have cold season, rainy season, and warm season. The cold season is, the coldest month is normally in July. Then we have the rainy seasons. We have two rainy seasons, one between mid-May to mid-November, and one between mid-May to May, and then the other season is in November and December, where we have short rains. The first one, we have long rains, and recently we've had a very serious rainy seasons that resulted to bad floods, and where life were lost, property were destroyed, and actually activities were halted. Many activities, even movements, were halted in the city. The city, especially the Nairobi city, was hit badly. Economic activities were crippled. We had the schools were affected. Some of the schools closed. Some of them were washed away, or structures were washed away. It also delayed the opening of the term by 2 weeks. Our home seasons depend on where you are. February is the warmest normally, or the hottest, depending on where you are. Because if you are in the mountainous region, then we can say it's warm. If you are in the north, or most probably in the coast, then we can say it's very hot. Next. Well, city. Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, and Nairobi hosts, or is the only city that has a national park. Well, when you're visiting Nairobi, make sure you visit the Nairobi National Park, where you can see the different wildlife that we have there. Well, other cities that we have are Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nakuru. Nairobi is a vibrant city, and it's also popular. It's popular for particularly in Africa as an African tech hub. It has the highest connectivity rate and a significant setup impact, accounting to 1.1% of Kenya's GDP. Well, we have major setups like M-Pesa or innovations that happened in our country, and M-Pesa is money transfer through mobile money transfer. In 1972, Nairobi also became the first developing country to host the headquarters of the UN organization, whereby the United Nations Environment Program is hosted here in Nairobi. Our other Kenyan urban centers like Mombasa, Kisumu are also bustling hubs of commerce, culture, and technology. And in Nairobi, we will often find, and other urban areas, you also often find sprouting slum dwellings that are homes for significant number of the city population. And this is also where Dagoretti area, where we operate in, is found. Nairobi also has the second largest slum in Africa, called Kibra. It's an informal settlement, and we have large populations that are held in these slums. Every city hosts a slum, or the casual labor is provided by the slums. Can see I see. Have you seen next slide, please?
Sorry, I thought the next photos were the slum photos, and they weren't, so I apologize.
Did we pass the cities? I want to see where we are.
This is the next slide after the city slide.
After the cities, yeah.
Wildlife
Okay.
in Masai Mara.
Okay. After the cities, did you share? I haven't seen the downside.
No, I thought those were next, and they're here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, those some of the things you'll find in the slum. You will find an open sewer line, a dump site. Those are some of the things that you'll find, things that most probably you have never seen. You'll find in the slum area. Well, let's talk about the wildlife. Naomi, please. Yes. Thank you. Well, wildlife, we are known with beautiful tourism attraction places. We have different parks in Kenya, and one of our famous parks is the Masai Mara Park, that is named after my community, the Masai people, and because it's also found in the Masai land. Masai Mara is known or renowned for its Big Five safaris featuring the lions, leopard, rhinoceros, elephant, and buffalo. Those are the big five: the lion, the leopard, the rhinoceros, elephant, and the buffalo. This provides an apparel opportunity to witness these majestic creatures in their natural habitat. Well, and also the wildlife live in harmony with the community. So the Maasai also are part of the park. So we have homestays where the community lives, then the rest of the area is surrounded by wildlife. So there are different communities inside the park. where the people live. And also our animals, the cows and the sheep also graze within the park. However, there are designated places where we can't go beyond because it can also become dangerous, especially for our animals. They can be prey for the wild animals. Well, Kenya is, next slide on culture. Kenya is a melting pot of cultures with 40 different tribes and ethnicities. Well, these tribes or communities have their unique traditions and language and customs. Well, like the Maasai community, we are known with our traditional attires, how we dressed, the way of life, the things that we continue to do from our forefathers. Greetings are different. We have different ceremonies, like rite of passages, baths. We have ceremonies that for initiation to adulthood. Then we also have a different ceremony during a marriage. Like every stage has some ceremony. Then an average Kenyan would speak 3 different languages. Well, like we'll speak our traditional language. Like for instance, my first language is Maasai or Maa. The language is called Maa language. Then I learned from the community Swahili, like we speak Swahili, which is our national language. Then we have English, which is our official language, which is learned from school normally. So I comfortably speak Maasai or Maa language, Kiswahili language, and English language. Then there are other languages that are introduced in school. Some schools, students learn French, Mandarin, German, or even Spanish. So, in this language or this status of us speaking 3 languages averagely makes it very possible or makes communication accessible across the various communities. So we are able to communicate, especially because everyone speaks Swahili, for instance, and everyone who has gone to school then speaks English. So we are able to communicate comfortably with one another.
I do want to let you know that we are at time, so if you do have to go, please do. We want to respect your time. If you're able to stay, please stay. And like I said, I'll hopefully get this up on the portal so that people can see the rest of the recording. But we do have a few slides left if you're able to stay.
Well, thank you so much, Naomi, for that announcement. Well, in the picture, the first person is a Samburu person. Then the 2 photos are from the Maasai community, and the last picture are from the Kikuyu community. So some of the, just before, some of the prominent tribes include the Kikuyu, the Luos, the Luhya, Maasai, Kalenjin, Meru, and the Kambas. Those are the most known communities. However, we have other communities, smaller communities, and which are called here in Kenya, the minority communities, and also in the international world, they are called the indigenous communities. Well, I want to mention this, most of our world best runners come from Kenya, like running, athletics. Kenya, because Kenya is known to be the home for the Kalenjin people. Culturally, the Kalenjins have been known to be, or have gained a lot of medals for Kenya in Olympics. We have acquired over 50 Olympic gold medals in the running events. And the contributing factor is said to be the fact that the Kalenjins come from mountainous places, and their children start running when they are still young to run, when they are running to go to school. So I think they say mythically, that's why they are the best runners. Well, next, I want us to talk about our cuisines. This photo shows some of our common foods. Chapati. If you were to come to Kenya, make sure you taste our chapati, taste our traditional Kikuyu cuisine. The mokimo, that's the green one in the middle. The first one is the chapati, the round one is made from wheat. Then mokimo, the green one, is made from potatoes and some traditional green vegetables, and it's mashed potatoes together with corn. Then also meat. Meat is also one of our common meals and cuts across the different communities. We have rice mostly in the coastal region. Rice is used a lot. Then we have ugali. Ugali is also very common for mostly all the communities. It's ugali. Ugali is corn flour mixed with water, boiled, and that's what we call ugali. That's how we prepare the ugali. We have different traditional vegetables also. Next. Well, majority of our rural community also contribute to the agricultural sector, and agriculture is one of the fastmost contributor of our economy, or our country depends on agricultural exports, and we export mostly flowers and avocado. We also known to export tea, production of tea, and also coffee. So, and these are our major income generating crops, cash crops for Kenya. Well, and 70% of our population work in the agricultural sector in the rural areas, while 40% of our GDP is contributed by agriculture. Well, majority also of the people who work in the farms are the women. However, our families are also very neat, close together, and we in the rural setting especially, we live in communities where everybody knows everyone, like work is done communally, and also some of the parts, especially in the indigenous communities, our land is owned communally as opposed to individually. Next. After that, well, allow me to dive a little bit into our education system, since our organization focuses in education. Well, until recently, our education system has been colonial-based system. However, recently we adopted a competency-based curriculum that changed our focus of education from cramming or learners-based to more practical system. Well, next. So this is how the education system now looks like, the difference between the previous education system and the competency based system. Well, the first component of the previous one was content-based, whereas the one we adopted is outcome-based, then competency-based as opposed to objective, norm-referred grade as opposed to now curricular criterial referred grade as opposed to norm referred grade. Then the previous one focus was teacher-centered, while this one now focuses on learners. Then now we are also integrating learning. Then it's formulative. Formulation learner performance is as opposed to instructional. Okay, that word is hard for me, but you can read from the slide.
Instructional.
Yes.
I got you.
Thank you, Naomi. Well, so we are focusing also on skills, performance, and I am very excited about this because now it's examining the student wholesomely, because the other one was very academic, and we were missing some of the talents, because now our education system is also focusing on the talents of the children. Therefore, it is making sure that these students are placed somewhere. The other one was leaving a lot of students, and most of us had to try and figure out what we are really talented in, because the education system was not helping us to explore our talents, our abilities, our skills, and this one is exposing the students to all these things. And therefore, we are very excited that this has been was brought and has started to be implemented. However, we still have a long way, or we're still working to make sure that this thing really works perfectly, and our teachers have gone back to school to refresh and also to learn about the new curriculum. Because initially, before the 844, we had something that was similar to the competency-based curriculum before the 844 was adopted. And we are also using those talents that were there to learn and to help to support the younger teachers to adapt the competency-based curriculum. Well, so currently the current education system has different levels. We have primary, then we have junior secondary. That was not there. It was an introduction, because the previous one had primary. We had kindergarten, primary, secondary, and then college or university. This one has kindergarten, then we have primary or lower primary and senior primary level. Then we have junior secondary, then senior secondary, and lastly, colleges. It's almost like the US curriculum now, because now after 6th grade, you go to 8th grade, you go to 7th grade, that is junior secondary. Then after 9th grade, you go to senior secondary. That is like seniors in the US. Then from there, you can go to college. However, all this journey, all along, the students has assessments that cumulatively put together to assess the competency of these students or this learner. And in junior secondary, they start narrowing down or helping the student to narrow down to their career path. So if you are a STEM student, then you can choose that and continue with that in your senior secondary. If you're in social, what do you call it? Humanities. If you're majoring in humanities, then you will choose that path when you go to senior secondary. So it's really helping the students to try and explore their talents and put them at the right place as they continue to grow through their careers. Well, the next photo is students in our Saturday program taking lunch, and allow me to speak a little bit about, this is the last slide. Allow me to speak a little bit about our Saturday program, because here too, we are trying to help the students during the Saturday program to nurture their talent. So we've introduced other like art clubs, we have music club, we have in sports, we have taekwondo, we have a football club, we have a reading club, you know, and all these are geared to support the students to develop their talent and also to support them in their academic journey. Well, the Saturday program is also a feeding program, and we just interact and have fun with the students, even as we play and nurture their talents. Well, that's all I had for you today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate. I welcome you for any questions.
All right, well, thank you so much, Tunda. I know I learned a lot. I hope everyone else did too. I will go ahead and put the video hopefully up on the portal. If not, please feel free to email me if you have any questions or anything else. And all of you are on our email list, so you'll know that we'll have more in the future. I'm hoping to do the next one in like late October, early November before Thanksgiving. And we'll see what that will be on. But if you're ever interested in learning about a specific thing, or if there's something about Kenya you want to know, or our students, just let me know and we can make sure that we do an educational event about that topic. But if no one else has any comments or questions, I will let you all go. Thank you for staying 15 minutes over. I appreciate it. And thank you again so much, Tunda.
Thank you, Naomi.
Okay. Bye, everyone.